Welcome back to Danielle Terry's Italy. One of the most dearly held fantasies about living in Italy includes purchasing a home. And this is something that people ask me about constantly. Danielle, why haven't you purchased a home in Italy yet? Don't you know about these €1 homes? And the truth is, yeah, of course I've thought about it because people ask me about it all the time. But the truth is, I'm terrified of bureaucracy and permits. And also, I do not find it pleasurable to watch home renovation shows. They stress me out. Yes, I realize I'm in the minority here. People love those shows. And the most famous book about Italy in the past 25 years is Under the Tuscan Sun by Frances Mays. And what's it about? Renovating a home. There are a few things that I know that are more related to the financial side of things. One is that buying a home in Italy is really a purchase, not an investment as we see it in the United States. It's not a financial product, it's your life. And because property taxes are very low, Italians will sit on inherited properties for generations. Whenever I host group tours, the number one question that guests will ask me when we're driving through the countryside is why there are so many abandoned or seemingly abandoned homes. I often don't notice, but to eyes unaccustomed to Italy, these structures really do stand out. They'll say, look at that place. It's right in the middle of this beautiful field of artichokes. Why is nobody doing something with that? It's rare that I can give you a specific answer, but it's probably a safe assumption that somebody does own it. Maybe the family is fighting over how to split it up. Maybe there's a dream that someday the owner might renovate it or retire there. Also, many of these structures are just simply not easy to tear down. I like to remind people that when Rome was completely devastated by war and plague and famine, two buildings that were just too massive to alter or destroy were the Colosseum and the Baths of Caracalla, and that is why they are still standing today. Another thing is that your first home purchase in Italy is tax-free. So instead of thinking about a starter home and then building up to your dream home, it's better to buy exactly what you want. To learn more about what it really takes to renovate a home in Italy, I spoke with an engineer who is licensed in both the United States and in Italy. Because I know there are many differences between the two places, and if you have experience renovating in the United States, you may think you know what you're doing, but you don't know what you don't know about Italy. Massoud has lived and worked all around the world, but he received multiple degrees in engineering at the University of Florence. And so I knew that he could help shed some light on the Under the Tuscan Sun home renovation fantasy.
Hello everyone, my name is Massoud Katebe. I am a professional engineer in both United States and European Union. I'm originally from Tehran, but I did my bachelor's degree and master degree at the University of Florence, Italy, as well as 1 year of my PhD. After I moved to US, I got my lead AP certificate, which makes me an expert of sustainability. I'm also the author of a book called The Electrical Distribution System of a Skyscraper in the United States. I have worked on many interesting projects. When I live in Los Angeles, I work on a building for a Native American Morongo tribe. I also work on lead certificate building for Arizona State University, which was named Project of the Year by ENR magazine in New York. I work on Regeneron campus, and I am the engineer of the record on the Gilder Center of at the American Museum of Natural History.
My background is coming from my father. He was doing 1960s, a lot of development of dams. In that time was very beautiful, renewable energy, it's part of like clean energy. And I learned it from my father,
How did you choose Florence?
First of all, I love soccer, and then it was the World Cup 1990. It happened in Italy. I was like 12 years old in that time. And that was a point that I had interest about Italy. And I remember old Italian suckers that time, Baresi, Franco Baresi, and Paolo Rossi, and Giannini, no, was it Conte? So yes, that was the first point. And Florence happened, studying art, studying at the university, engineering, but I see also the open museum, which is Florence.
Yeah. Florence is a perfect place to study. I mean, Rome is exciting and Milan is very international, but
Mm,
Florence is just the perfect place to
yeah,
study.
yeah. And also food,
What I learned about engineering in Italy is that the solution needs to be simple. I studied with Professor Martarelli, who led a project inside the Duomo of Florence. He taught me how to respect the space and the art and be sensitive to these amazing monuments. When you study in the city like Florence, you learn to be both sensitive and creative.
We studied how to run the cables without having any effect on the monument, on the building itself. So we find a solution how to run the cable. That's really amazing because you know engineering and then you know the art and the combination together. It gives you going to the next level because you know already the story and then you know the engineering. You are more knowledgeable. You are in another level.
It's interesting because I never really in all of the time that I spend in churches or all the time that I spent studying the Duomo, inside of the Duomo, I just took the electricity for granted. I never really thought about the fact that somebody had to go into this building and light it up. And, especially the Duomo, like climbing the dome itself is one of the major tourist activities. And of course, you need light. So we have Brunelleschi's innovation. We can talk forever about the Medici and the art. But then there were electrical engineers that had to go in there in the last 50 to 75 years and add something brand new, but something incredibly important to it.
That's true because when you see a vault, behind of the vault, the old pipes or old, distribution system, there are all this thing happening. We don't know it because we don't see it. But in the real life, they are serving the building to maintain lighting, for example, as you said, and many other protection. The building codes is building codes. Everywhere you go, you have to follow it.
So, speaking of permits and codes, you became a professional engineer. So, what does that mean in the European Union and in Italy to become a professional engineer?
You have to pass the exams.
It's a written
I
exam?
Yeah, I did. I took 4 exams actually. Two writings, two others interviews, kind of interviews with experienced people. They ask you, and then if you pass, otherwise you have to do it again. But
This is something that, as an American, I feel very lucky to have not experienced. I know this from my Italian cousins, even in high school. And it's called the interrogation. My cousin Ludovica was saying, "Well, tomorrow I've got to prepare because I have an interrogation," which sounds terrifying. To me, an interrogation sounds like the police are going to be there. But that's something, of course, that you have to do in the Italian education system. So you had 2 written exams and then 2 oral exams.
yeah, and the difference is like in American, because I'm professional engineer in US, you have multiple choice. That's a good thing, I guess. But in Italy, you have to talk about it. You have to do argument, and they want to hear you. How are you are confident about the knowledge that you have? If you are a professional engineer, you have responsibility of people. You have to protect people inside of the building.
So is it more difficult to get your engineer's license in the European Union than it is in the United States?
Yes, I would say yes, because over there was 4 exams. In here, there are 2 exams.
Wow.
But I'm not gonna put it like in the judgment which one is better or which one is, I just say the different system.
Mm.
I would say they are in different system because the law is different, everything is different, the building, historical, Yeah.
That's very diplomatic of you. Let's talk about the fantasy that so many Americans in particular have, and many other people, of course, from around the world, of buying a home in Italy. Every few months, there's always one of these articles that goes around social media that talks about buying these $1 houses in some small village. Generally, these homes are just a shell. They have to be completely renovated. So, yes, they cost $1 or €1, but you have to put a significant amount of money into them. And people ask me about this all the time. And they also ask me about just buying a house in Italy and renovating it. And I never know what to say to them because I am a lifelong renter. I have no experience with renovating a home. And so that's why I'm so excited to talk to you. If you can share with us, with our listeners, some knowledge, since you've worked in both Italy and the US, what are some of the things that people need to know about renovating a home in Italy that they might not be thinking of? What are the things that if they've renovated a home in the US that they might not consider for Italy?
Having a home in Italy, the materials of the building is different than US. In US, we have drywall where there is brick. So the construction materials definitely they are different. But if you want to renovate that home in terms of alteration. Sometimes it happen in the historical zone and you have to get like from different offices permits. The same, almost similar to US. If you want to renovate a home, you go to the town, you get a permit, and then you have to take a permit from historical office also. In Europe, especially in Italy, and you may need to take more permits from different offices, and sometimes it takes more time than US.
Another important thing to check for these previous violations, if you are looking at properties online, don't get too attached unit to the listing. If there are violations from the previous owner, you need to resolve them first.
I would say before you buy that home, you want to evaluate that is worth it. If that building is you are able to renovate. It is a beautiful country. You want to enjoy also the culture, food and everything without getting to this trouble. You want to make sure you respect all the codes and then you need to talk to a professional to help you. If you don't know this all law and details, you may get like frustrated. Definitely, I would say hire an architect or engineer to help you with it. Definitely get the help from professionals.
Americans, I think, often have this fantasy of, sort of a big open kitchen. And one thing I know from having stayed in properties that are converted farmhouses is that the walls are, a 5 feet thick. That's an exaggeration, but you know what I mean.
The most important thing is you update your information from that specific location or about that building and you decide what you need to do, how you deal with it.
And what's it like dealing with Italian contractors and plumbers? I mean, I don't think that's necessarily a pleasant experience wherever you are. It can be, no offense to contractors and plumbers, but it can be difficult. What's it like in Italy versus the United States?
Oh yeah, definitely probably that contractor doesn't know English.
Yes.
So one thing is culturally you want to make sure you explain them what you need to do, what is the expectation from them. And because it's different construction, different material, if you don't know it and they go by default and then at the end you say, oh, I didn't want this. And you want to make sure everything is aligned first and the construction is ongoing, is progressive and it matches with your desire, with your requirements.
Are materials more expensive?
Yes, I would say yes. The Home Depot, if you go to Home Depot, you see the prices. If you go over there, absolutely is the price is different. I would say different type of material that makes as the end of like if you sum it up at the end of the calculation, you see, okay, you have a higher value in Italy. In the US is probably different, different material. I said drywall. And even you want to paint the wall, exterior wall, you want to make sure sometimes if you are in the historical zone, they don't allow you to paint it different color. If you fly to Italy, if you get the airplane, you cross like for example Roma or anywhere, you see all the roof they are red.
The
That's a
terracotta.
culture. Terracotta. So that's a culture. You are not allowed to do it different color or the wall, because that's historical zone again, You want to make sure you respect the rules, otherwise you get the fines from them. Again, we want to make sure you enjoy everything.
Definitely, there's an emphasis on energy efficiency that's different than what we're accustomed to here, right?
Right, yeah. They use fuel to burn for the generator and they send the electricity from that central electrical center to the urban level. So because the fuel is very expensive, they import from a Middle East or somewhere else. So it is expensive. The energy is expensive overall.
I'm going to ask you the same question in two different ways. I would like to know both your professional opinion and your personal opinion about whether you think it's better to buy a new home in Italy that has new energy, Wi-Fi that's easily connected, all the modern conveniences. Because one thing I've learned in Italy is that I always had this vision of wanting to live in the middle of the historic center and live in an old building, but I've also spent enough time in Italian homes to know it's really nice when the heating actually works. But there's still that dream of living in an old building. So professionally and personally, do you think it's better to buy a new home in Italy or renovate an old one?
That's a question of the preference. But if you want my
Well,
preference,
your professional opinion, which is better?
professional opinion, old home is better.
Really?
Yes,
Why?
structurally.
Structurally. Okay.
Structurally, it goes for a long time. Look at it.
They were built to last.
Yes.
And personally?
Personally, I prefer to stay that old home and renovate it because there's a life there. You see, you can, if I said many times in US, people have one wall with decorative brick just to make a life, different texture to the home. But in Italy, it's in there. You just take off the surface of the wall, for
Ah,
example. You see stone, you see the brick, beautiful. And it's talking to you because there's a life. Yeah, maybe at the beginning you surprise. Okay, that's different. Yeah, that's it. But if you are patient, just look at a different way, you really enjoy that. It's time. Sometimes you don't want to even leave at home coming back to US. I saw it, a lot of Americans, they are there and they enjoy it. They are enjoying.
well, I'm sure this is spoken like somebody who spent many, many years in Florence, because once you fall in love with that city,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
always going to love old buildings.
Yes, because that's part of the city, right? That's a part of the culture. That's a part of the history. And I would say the old building always is better in terms of beauty, the well-being inside, and also you can interiorly like design it well, and then you enjoy it.
So I like this. I like that from a professional engineering standpoint of somebody who understands
Mm.
what's behind the walls. You still prefer the romantic, historic building.
That is true. That is true.
I like that. So if somebody is renovating a house in Italy, they live here in the United States, and they would like to get some advice and have you look at blueprints or look at whatever information they have, is that something that you could help them with?
Yes, that's like really enjoy to do that. I love to do that. I love to help people, and that's more part of my passion to do it. Of course, they can contact me, and I would be more than happy to help.
And how can they find you online?
You can find me on my website, gkengineering.com. A stands for Massoud Gabriel Katebe. Gabriel is my son, so I love him. So he's everywhere in my life.
So people can find you at mgkengineering.com. Your email address is there. And if they want to bring some reality to their vision, you can help them out.
Yes, I have my contact information there. Definitely, I can help people. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I want to share that the full destination deep dive devoted to Florence is now available. It includes a 45-minute video that walks you through everything you need to know: the highlights, the tourist traps, the best time of year to go, what to see, where to eat, where to take a day trip, as well as a very, very detailed 5-day itinerary. You can easily take this and adapt it to your travel dates. If you want a really well-researched, thoughtful trip, but you don't have 30 hours of research time available to you, this is it. This is the shortcut. That's about how much time it took me to put this all together, and that doesn't include the year that I lived in Florence and the many times I've returned since. So there's also 2 bonus cheat sheets. One is devoted to the foods of Florence because it's not the pizza and the pasta that people typically associate with Italian food. And second is a sheet devoted to lesser known places, lesser known sites where you can truly access the soul of the city. If you are a paid subscriber to this podcast, you are invited to the launch for each month's destination deep dive for free, and that includes a Q&A. And then later, when the presentation is formalized, along with the detailed itinerary and bonus content, you get a code for 50% off. 50. It's a good discount. I am about to publish the Matera deep dive, and on October 15th at 8 p.m. Eastern, I'll be debuting the Naples deep dive. You can become a paid subscriber at danielleoteri.com, or if you just want to purchase the one-off deep dive, you can do that at danielleoteri-italy.com.